Hey team, Mike here at After 40 Fitness and after40fitness.ca. Going to go on a bit of a rant again today. I like to do educational, informative, scientific-based videos, as you know, and I'm going to do the same again today, but it's because, man, I just feel the need to tackle a topic. Every now and then something just triggers me, it pushes a button, and today I decided to go with something that's common in the forums. You may have actually heard this or read this or said it yourself, that artificial sweeteners, non-calorie sweeteners, by that, right, obviously we're talking about the chemical ones, which are aspartame and sucralose, but also the more natural, we like to call them natural, monk, stevia, erythritol, allulose. And the premise is that they cause hunger. Have you heard that? Have you read that? Someone will say, you know, I'm okay with knowing that a Diet Coke, for example, has 0 calories, 0 carb, therefore technically qualifies as fasting, right? Isn't the very definition of fasting abstaining from food, abstaining from calories? Well, then you would think that a Diet Coke qualifies. And then this whole cephalic insulin response kicks in and people go on a tangent about, but it could spike insulin, it could, despite never being proven. All right, the only, just so you know, if you watch any of my videos and you know what I'm about to say, saccharin, outside of sugar, saccharin is the only artificial sweetener that is consistently shown to have a cephalic insulin response, where just the sweet taste causes a small and transient, but nonetheless, it does cause a bit of an insulin response. Aspartame potassium, ACE-K for short, is another one that has been shown in some people to be responders. But when it comes to the likes of aspartame, monk, stevia, erythritol, allulose, not one participant in any study to date. All right, so I could talk about that all day and how people like Jen Stevens, even Dr. Fung, just piss me right off with the rhetoric, with the dogma around artificial non-cal sweeteners, because there is a response to saccharin, as we talked about, and aspartame potassium. Those two, that because there's a response to those, that therefore we're okay applying those results in some responders, in some percentage of the population, against all, oh my God, triggered, like, lose my shit. That is despicable science. I hate it. We wouldn't tolerate it anywhere else. But for some reason, in non-cal sweeteners, it gets a pass. Drives me nuts. And Jen, Dr. Fung, you guys suck. Man, you suck. All right. You can tell I'm getting heated up already. I'm just in the intro. If this is your first time on my channel or you haven't yet, please do subscribe. Punch that that like button. You know where I'm going with that, right? This is the kind of information that if you like the science-based approach, not just rhetoric and dogma, not just because I said so, you're going to enjoy this video because I got some science to share with you. And this particular topic, again, in this genre of non-cal sweeteners, is around satiety as compared to hunger and cravings. It's a very common thing for people to say, but I have a Diet Coke and all of a sudden crave, hunger, and I'm here to deal with that today. I want to prove to you by the time I'm done it's purely psychosomatic. Psychosomatic is the word I was looking for. There is no physiological response in the body that makes us more hungry. In fact, I'm going to give you some compelling reasons to think that it might just be the opposite. That providing that sweet taste may just prevent us, and I got a study to prove this to you, that may just prevent us from going and seeking that sweet flavor elsewhere where there is calories involved. Oh, you're in for a treat. If you're at all open-minded and or intrigued by this topic of non-cal sweeteners, I got some good stuff for you. Now, what drove it is, I'm going to show you a study here. I did a video, and I'll link it down below, be the first link, because I'm going to refer to a few things. What they did, again, I'll show the link here. I'm going to show the excerpt from the study. What they did was they gave people snacks before meals. And now in those snacks, they broke it down and said it's either going to be a 290-calorie snack sweetened with stevia, a 290-calorie snack sweetened with aspartame, or a 500-calorie snack sweetened with sugar. And what they wanted to see before lunch, over three different days, they wanted to see what the response would be at lunch and at dinner if they gave them this snack, either with sugar or with a non-cal sweetener, an hour before. They wanted to see the result of how much they ate at the next meal. In other words, here's the premise. Okay, the premise is if I save 200 calories in my snack by not having it have sugar, but instead a non-cal sweetener, aspartame or stevia were the two used, will I go now at my meal when I'm served a buffet and I can eat ad libitum, right, to my choice? Right, to satiety is the way I put that. Will I now eat more to compensate for the 200 calories I saved? Now, in the study, they proved nope. No one, not one participant overate in the buffet to compensate, or they didn't make up for the 200 calories they saved if their snack had aspartame or stevia. Well, that's good to know. Isn't that relevant? That goes to show that you could have a Diet Coke instead of a Coke. You could save the couple 300 calories, whatever it is in a can of Coke, by having diet, and then you won't likely won't compensate by eating more calories at your next meal. So that was good to know. However, here's the key part. The part was regarding satiety. All right, what they did was they gave them, because remember, these participants in this study didn't know what kind of snack they were getting. So on each of the 3 days, they were randomized over 3 days, and on one day there were 2 snacks before lunch and dinner, had aspartame, the next day stevia, the next day sugar. And they didn't know it was randomized order. Okay, so with the 30-some-odd people, I think it was 31 people in the study, every day it was all mixed up. You never knew which one you were going to get. So when they asked them to report on their hunger and on their cravings, you know what they reported? No difference. No change. Now, I'm making an interesting comment about that in that video. I'm just going to go ahead and grab that clip and share it for you right now. Self-reported hunger and satiety levels did not differ. Another common issue that's talked about in social media is, but when I have something with a sweetener in it, I'm ravished, I crave, I'm hungry all the time. Not according to studies, right? So easy to say that, especially those who have an agenda against sweeteners. Oh, but they make me hungry, they make me crave. Okay, well, here's a study with however many people, we just said was in it, 31 people, and the satiety and hunger levels didn't differ, right? Because they didn't know what they had. Right? It's so easy. If one of these people had an agenda and they knew that they were getting either stevia or aspirin, they could have said, "I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry." Okay? Not knowing means they didn't experience it. There was no preconceived ideas that was causing psychosomatic impacts to their decision-making processes, if you will. This study has the title, The Effects of Water and Non-Nutritive Sweetened Beverages on Weight Loss and Weight Maintenance, and this is a randomized clinical trial. Right? No dogma here. This is actually in a clinic. I love it. I love it. This is reported on the journal Obesity in 2016. I'm going to draw your attention to the objective. It's to evaluate the effects of water versus beverage sweetened with non-nutritive sweeteners on body weight in subjects enrolled in a year-long behavioral weight loss treatment program. Awesome. Okay, the study was randomized to use either non-nutritive sweetener or water as the beverage, and among 303 noticed weight-stable people, but they're either overweight or obese. So weight stable means not on a diet, not yo-yoing, not in a calorie deficit. So whatever their weight is right now, whether overweight or obese, at least it's stable. All participants participated in a weight loss program plus assignment to consume, here's the difference, notice, 24 ounces. 24 ounces, right? So 3 Diet Cokes or 3 Diet Pepsis a day, right? Or water. Right, so non-nutritive beverages, and this is for a year. What they actually did was 12 weeks of focused weight loss, and then the next 9 months to see who could maintain, and what the difference was between these two groups. When I was researching this study, I came across a video by Dr. Norton. He actually mentioned this. Dr. Lay Norton referred to this study as well. He has some comments about it. For example, he isolates what the difference is between these two groups of participants in the study. Notice what he said.
The only difference between the groups was one group was asked to consume 24 ounces of diet soda per day. The other group was asked to consume water and completely refrain from non-nutritive sweeteners in beverages.
All right, good. So what they did when I read this, it was really kind of cool. They gave them certificates or coupons, if you will, to go buy either Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi, the equivalent of 3 a day for 12 weeks. Now, what do you think the results were? I know if you have an agenda, you're thinking, well, at best, the results were the same, but you're suspecting that the water group who didn't ingest 3 cans of Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi or aspartame, right, per day, there's no way you're thinking in your head. If you have an agenda and you're anti-non-cal sweeteners, then you're thinking there's no way. There's no way. They stall, they spike insulin, whatever BS you're thinking, right? So let's have a look. First of all, what do you think the authors expected? Dr. Norton had a comment on this as well. Let's see what he said.
The researchers hypothesized that there would be no difference between the two groups. There actually was a difference. The diet soda group lost significantly more weight. Of the total participants in the study, the diet soda group lost 3 kilos more of body weight. They also kept off more weight during the maintenance period. I think it was like 2.5 kilos more they kept off.
Well, there it is. Water and non-nutritive beverages were not equivalent for weight loss and maintenance during a 1-year behavioral treatment program. Non-nutritive beverages were superior for weight loss and weight maintenance. Unbelievable. Okay, these results suggest that non-nutritive beverages can be an effective tool for weight loss and maintenance within the context of a weight management program. By the way, so these people did get the equivalent of what you would expect if you went to like a Weight Watchers or a Zune or a Jenny Craig, right? So they were getting counseling. And once a month they would get together and not only get weighed in and get checked and talk about their diet regimen and talk to a dietitian or a nutritionist, but, encouragement. They knew they had to show up. So very much like you would expect in any kind, but they both got it, both groups, both the water group and the non-nutritive sweetener, the Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi group, got this same treatment. All right, now the question is, what are the results? I'm just going to turn back to Dr. Norton and let him give you the results.
What the researchers postulated, and I agree, is that people who were in the diet soda group were most likely, since they were getting some sweet flavor, perhaps it was less likely that they were seeking that out with other foods. Whereas the group that was getting only water might have tried to seek out the sweet flavor, that sweet reward, through some other mechanism, and probably were getting more calories.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that makes sense. Whether it's contest prep, many people who are competing, myself included, have taken or used diet sodas, diet beverages, and you know something? We have the exact opposite mentality. To us, they're appetite suppressants. They let you attack that need for something sweet without having to go after something with calories. So I wasn't surprised at all by the results of this study. It just provides further proof that all this dogma, and again, rhetoric, I use those terms a lot because to me that's all it is. It's unfounded, it's unscientific to blame non-cal sweeteners if you stall. Right? The number of people in forums who say, hey, I've stalled for a couple of days, which is a normal physiological response to take a pause in weight loss where the body, stops for a second and says, are we truly, in a famine here? Are we truly under attack, or can we continue to go ahead and keep losing fat? And people blame that on anything and everything, including non-cal sweeteners. It really kind of drives me nuts. Okay, so I just wanted to further show you that in a true clinical environment, in a clinical study, no BS, no anecdotes, here's the results. Better weight loss, better maintenance. You do the math.
They found the people consuming the diet sodas had better satiety, lower levels of reported hunger. This is what we call actual outcome data.
Now, before I go any further, I got to make a quick comment. It's not that I'm endorsing or recommending artificial sweeteners. I mean, don't put this video together and say, Mike is obviously sponsored by Pepsi or Coke or Aspartame or sucralose. Not the case. Every one of you, like me, gets to make a decision based on information. We make decisions about regarding our health every day based on information. The problem is, I believe many of you are making decisions about artificial and non-cal sweeteners with incorrect, with inaccurate, with outdated, in some cases outright wrong information. Okay. Second is about the gut biome. Have you heard that? Have you heard that artificial sweeteners impact the gut biome? There is zero evidence of that in humans. Right? Zero evidence in humans. Not one trial in humans has ever shown that. You know why? Because when they do show it in rats, they need to use crazy amounts. In fact, Lane, what do you got to say on this topic?
When you give large amounts of various molecules, you can show really weird stuff in rodent studies. You have to be able to replicate that in actual outcome data in humans under conditions of normal intake. And under conditions of normal intake, not only do we not see that, we see that, if anything, this might have a benefit. There was also a recent randomized controlled trial in humans where they gave artificial sweeteners versus water and showed no difference.
0.0.
In the gut microbiome, because I know that's everybody's next thing is, well, it messes up your gut microbiome and this and that. There's no evidence of that in humans. It was actually a study looking at one strain of E. coli showing that when you gave a load of artificial sweeteners, I think it was sucralose, that it was toxic to that particular strain of E. coli. No when you put really high doses of pretty much anything on a petri dish, it can be toxic to cells.
Right? Do you get it now? Like, unbelievable amount of misinformation on this topic. I mean, people with agendas are destroying your thinking process, and we're letting it happen. It's despicable science. For example, that comment you made about the study in sucralose affecting the gut biome. Okay, so when I went and looked at that study, and I looked at how many milligrams per kilogram they gave to those rats Okay, I want you to get this real quick. They did a calculation. They gave them so much. When I did the calculation based on my body weight at 90 kilograms, the grams per kilogram of sucralose they fed those rats was equivalent of me having 36 sugar-free monsters or sugar-free rock stars every day for 90 days. 36 cans of sugar-free monster or sugar-free rock star every day. How do those rats live? I don't understand how they even survive, let alone have their gut biome impacted by 50%. I don't know how they're alive. I can't help but think that if you or I had, in my case, you do the math at your own weight. If 90 kilograms is 36, if you weigh 70 kilograms, call it 30 a day for 90 days. Okay, if you're not in a coma, like, something's wrong, right? So all of a sudden, that's the kind of science that's being used to extrapolate that it impacts gut biome, yet never shown, as Dr. Norton said, never shown in humans. So all in all, I look at this information and I think, okay, I'm not going to recommend or suggest that you use artificial non-cal sweeteners, but at least make a decision for you based on causation, based on causal science, not based on correlation, not based on guesswork, not based on taking exorbitant amounts that are given to rats and apply it to the amount you and I mean, when they looked at the studies on the excuse me, when they looked at the outcome, the biomarkers in those first two studies I indicated, where they were giving them 3 cans of Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi every day for a year, you know what they saw? No impact. And that's 3 Diet Cokes a day for a year. That's normal amount. Your body can handle it. So I'm going to rifle them through. So are you with me? Don't come back and say, yeah, but Coach Mike, he endorses. No, he doesn't. He just likes you to make a decision based on correct information. I know that makes sense. I know that in theory, you and I go, of course we want to make decisions based on the best possible information, and yet you're not doing it. If you ever spout crap about non-cal sweeteners impacting insulin, or non-cal sweeteners impacting gut biome, or causing epilepsy or Alzheimer's, or any other nonsense, cancer, there are 0 causal studies showing that, not one, right? And by the way, I'm going to share one more clip before I get into these last. I'm going to rifle through the last 3 studies very quickly about aspartame, but I will have one more clip from Dr. Norton where he talks about reverse causation. Notice this.
Now, if we look at the literature, certainly there have been some observational studies where they've seen that people who eat more artificial sweeteners may be more likely to be obese. So people like to connect mechanism, observational study, and just kind of, jump over all the other science and go, aha, see? Aha! Aha! It could be reverse causation, meaning not so much that artificial sweeteners cause people to become obese, but that people who are obese are more likely to want to lose weight and therefore are partaking in consumption of more artificial sweeteners.
Okay, let's get after it. 3 studies. I think I'm making a point, right, to just get good information. Get information like this and make a decision for you. I'm not telling you right or wrong, but just it's important that we get the right information, right? Being misled by people's agendas. I know in principle you hate it as much as I do, so let's just make sure we get good stuff here, okay? For example, right, here's the first of 3 studies. This one you can see was in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition from 1997. The title, The Effect of Aspartame as Part of a Multidisciplinary Weight Control Program on Short and Long-Term Control of Body Weight. Okay, so if it's important to you to lose weight, short and long-term control of body weight, does aspartame have a role? By the way, multidisciplinary weight control program means not just diet, but also exercise. I'll refer to that in a second. Notice from the abstract, 163, very good. Good size study, right? Good trial. 163, these are obese women. They were assigned to consume either aspartame-sweetened beverages or not. Okay, so either consume or to abstain from aspartame-sweetened foods and beverages for 16 weeks of a 19-week weight reduction program, and then followed by a 1-year maintenance and 2-year follow-up. I mean, talk about excellent, right? So 16 of 19 weeks of active weight reduction program, active weight loss. Okay, the 1-year maintenance program and 2-year follow-up. I'm going to read this to you. Women in both treatment groups lost approximately 10% of body weight. So, right, with aspartame or without. So, does aspartame make you stall? Nope. Not in a clinical environment. Right? That's in people's heads. But, a Diet Coke a day makes me stall. Bullshit. Right? That's absolutely inaccurate. Both lost approximately 10% of body weight, which was 10 kilograms, right? For you Americans, about 20 pounds, 22 pounds actually, during active weight loss, okay, so in that 16 to 19 week range. Among women assigned to the aspartame treatment group, aspartame intake was positively correlated with percentage of weight loss during active weight loss. During maintenance and follow-up, participants in the aspartame group experienced a 2.6 and 4.6% regain after 1 year and 2 year respectively. So 2.6 kilograms and 4.6 kilograms of rebound. Okay, so despite not being in active weight loss, as you know, you don't count your calories, you're not on an active weight loss program, you're going to get some back. But notice the amount, 2.6 kilos and 4.6. Whereas those in the non-aspartame group, holy Hannah, double. Put back in the first year, 5.4. And in the second year, right back to where they started. They lost 10 kilograms. They put back on 9.4. Now, I'm not telling you that aspartame is some panacea. I'm not telling you that, all I can suggest is that perhaps because they included Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi or a Diet Mountain Dew, Diet Root Beer, right? In some way, shape, or form in their regimen, they were able to stick to a lower calorie intake, right? It still obviously comes back to calories in, calories out to some degree. These people then who didn't use Diet Cokes obviously didn't stick to just water. They went and found ways to get more calories in. Right? Let that be a lesson. And here's the proof. This is in a clinical environment and with a 1 year follow-up and 2 year follow-up, and look at the difference. The water-only group gained twice as much back. The aspartame group lost significantly more overall, twice as much, and then regained significantly less during maintenance and follow-up than the group who avoided it. All right? Unbelievable study. Right? And again, am I endorsing it? Well, now I actually kind of am. That if you want to lose weight and you want to keep more off, this is the better way to go. The proof is right there. It's not my opinion. That's science, whether you like it or not. Study number 2 is in the journal Appetite from 1988. This is as far back as 88. The title, An Evaluation of the Effect of Aspartame on Weight Loss. Right to the abstract, 59 obese, free-living men and women were assigned to either a balanced deficit diet or a balanced deficit diet supplemented with aspartame. 59 obese men and women. The females, I'm just focusing on the females. The men were actually the same in both, but the females lost an average of 12.8 in the control group versus 16.5 in the experimental group, which also had aspartame sweetened beverages. All right, so again, a difference there of about, call it 4 pounds. Call it 4 pounds greater in the aspartame group. In both treatment groups, sleep, general energy level of physical activity, and feeling of well-being showed clinically meaningful improvement. It wasn't because of the aspartame. It was because of the increased weight loss. So more pleasure, more satisfaction in their results. Not to mention biomarkers improve the more you lose, right? So as you lose weight, your blood pressure improves, other biomarkers, cardiovascular markers all improve, not because of the diet regimen, but because you're losing weight, right? And so the effects were more pronounced at 16.5 pounds of loss than they were at 12.8. I know that makes sense to you, okay? So we're going to move on. The last study is in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition from 2014. The title was Low Calorie Sweeteners and Body Weight and Composition, a meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials. The objective was to systematically review and quantitatively evaluate RCTs and cohort studies separately that examine the relationship between low-cal sweeteners, and by the way, and body weight and composition. A systematic literature search identified 15. Very good. So we're going to focus on the 15 more so than the 9 cohort studies that examined low-cal sweeteners from foods and beverages consumed as tabletop sweeteners. In the RCTs, in the randomized controlled trials, LCSs, low-carb sweeteners, low-cal sweeteners, modestly but significantly reduced all outcomes examined, including body weight, body mass index, and waist circumference, and fat mass and waist circumference. It improved them all. Okay, modestly but significantly reduced all outcomes examined. RCTs, which provide the highest quality of evidence for examining the potentially causal effects of low-cal sweetener intake, indicate that substituting low-cal sweetener options for their regular calorie versions result in modest weight loss and may be a useful dietary tool to improve compliance with weight loss or weight management programs. Conversely, a hypothesis, now by the way, so was the outcome of the study that across all 15 RCTs, the impact of substituting with sucralose, aspartame, stevia, monk, erythritol were all improved. Across the 15 studies, everyone showed an improvement in weight loss, fat loss, waist circumference, etc., etc. Now, the reason why is the authors drew this correlation. Conversely, a hypothesis that low-cal sweetener intake promotes rather than prevents weight gain. Promotes. Notice that. They're saying, conversely, this hypothesis has come around that rather than prevent weight loss, it's actually helping weight gain by altering taste and metabolic signaling, decreasing satiety. There's that one we've been talking about in this entire video. And increasing appetite, hunger, sweets, cravings, and ultimately food intake emerged 3 decades ago. Okay, this hypothesis, get that. 30 years ago, this hypothesis came out that low-cal sweeteners at aspartame, stevia, monk, erythritol don't improve weight loss, but they actually adversely impact taste and metabolic signaling. They decrease satiety, they increase appetite, they increase hunger and sweet cravings. Okay, this has been around for this hypothesis for 30 years. However, a recent review of randomized controlled trials and new findings from an RCT that examined the effect of low-cal sweetened beverages on overall diet patterns failed to support this hypothesis. All right, do you get it? Do you get that it's been bullshit for 30 years, and despite the fact this evidence exists, it's still spouted every day in forums? Every day in forums, I'm reading about this. I'm reading about hunger, sweet cravings, increasing appetite, decreasing satiety. It's been around for 30 years, this dogma and rhetoric. Not one single clinical style proves it, but you wouldn't know it from the comments in social media. All right, that's it. That's all. So by the time I'm done with this, I think you should by now be going, okay, all right, I get it. The agenda that's out there, the dogma, the rhetoric is off the hook. I don't have enough science to support that low-cal sweeteners, that non-cal sweeteners are bad for me. So now I can make a decision about what I want to do based on information, based on correct information, accurate information. You may still elect to avoid non-cal sweeteners. God bless you. Your call, your choice. At least now you're doing it with the right information in your head. All right, but on that note, hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next one.